So I never thought I'd be saying this. We're here in Miami. The gate was $14.14 million. It was a sellout, 19,165 people. The highest grossing event ever at the arena. We broke our own record, and it is the fourth highest grossing UFC event of all time. Miami is on fire. This place is unbelievable. What they've done in the state and in the city in the last 10 years is phenomenal. But anyway, fight of the night, Dustin and Benoit. Performance of the night, O'Malley. And we gave everybody who had a finish $50,000 except for Dustin, because he won fight of the night.
So we still got.
Talk to me.
All right. Dana, I know we've only got you for a short time, so I just want to ask you first about Sean O'Malley and his performance. He wanted to finish his first title defense, but he didn't get that, but he looked absolutely fantastic. So what did you think overall of his performance?
He put on a clinic, and I don't know if anybody can finish Cheeto Vera. I mean, that guy's got a chin like nothing I've ever seen. Ate those two knees. Big shots all night. I mean, everybody knows the power that O'Malley has. He ate all those shots, even shots to the body that he took, kicks and punches to the body. Cheeto Vera is one of the most durable fighters I've ever seen.
And you talked about the incredible gate tonight. I think they said on the broadcast it was one of the highest gates that didn't involve Conor McGregor. So I guess where does Sean stand in terms of star power for the company and
biggest bantamweight fight of all time? If you based off energy, excitement, gate, and pay-per-view, it's by far the biggest fight ever in the bantamweight division.
Where do you see his ceiling? I mean, our comparisons to Conor McGregor, I know that's a little bit tough. He's one of a kind, but I mean, is he one of the biggest stars we've ever seen?
He's on his way. Yeah, he's on his way. He's the biggest star ever in bantamweight history. We can say that right now.
Definitely. What do you make of these call-outs of Ilia Topuria? I mean, is that something that you're even considering right now, or is it too soon to be talking about moving divisions?
Well, it's not Tuesday yet.
On Tuesday, maybe we can talk about moving divisions.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know about moving divisions. Yeah. You know how I feel about that. I mean, even Topuria was talking about not fighting anybody in the division after just winning the title.
Yeah.
That's crazy talk.
Want to ask you about Dustin Poirier as well. Obviously, future Hall of Famer, legend, fight of the night. I mean, what did you think of his performance and him at this point in his career?
These are the kind of fights, when you talk about let me think of how to say this. The fight that he took tonight with Benoit. I mean, everybody, when the talk first started, and everybody was like, "Ooh, this is a bad fight for Poirier," blah 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 blah. And then Poirier came out and said, "You know what? I didn't die," and all this other. This is shit that makes you a fucking legend. These are legendary fights. When you go in and you face a guy who is a savage and looks like you can't win this fight, or people think you can't win this fight, and then you go in and do it in spectacular fashion the way that he did tonight. A lot of these fighters get very, you've heard it many times in the past. They want me to lose, or they're trying to make me lose. I heard some nutty shit the other day from somebody that I won't even mention, but we don't determine whether you lose or whether you win. You do. What we try to do is put on the best match-made fight that we can possibly do. And that's why big stars are built in the UFC and legendary fights happen every weekend.
Nice. Last thing for me, given his legendary status and his performance, when it is Tuesday, is he in the conversation for a title shot in his next
Poirier?
Fight? Yeah.
I mean, Poirier, again, like I just said, I just went through that whole, his stock again goes through the roof. At his age, all the things he's accomplished, all the things he's done, look at what he did tonight. And I don't know if you guys are too busy typing or whatever the fuck it is you guys do during fights, but if you stood up during that fight and saw the arena, it was insane. It was insane. People were going nuts. Yeah, Poirier went to a whole nother level tonight with this fight.
Dana, what did you make of Michael Venom Page's UFC debut? I mean, he shut down Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland looked incredibly frustrated. What did you make of him?
Yeah, listen, he's got that style that's very, he's a counter striker and flashy, and we got to match make his next fight the right way.
Did you feel like Kevin sort of, I don't want to say gave up, but in the third round was clearly just like, I don't know what to do with this guy?
I don't know if he gave up. I had Michael win in the first round. I had Kevin win in the second round, and then you got to go in and whoever wins the third round. That's probably the first time that Kevin's ever fought anybody cockier than him.
Earlier this week, Mike Tyson has been announced a return to boxing. I know in the past you said you didn't want him to fight again. You tried to talk him out of fighting again. Have you spoken to him about this one?
He gets mad when I do this, but Mike's 60, man. I don't know. What do you guys think about it? Who gives a shit what I think? It's not my fight. I love Mike Tyson, personally as a friend, and he's one of my favorite athletes of all time. I don't know. Let's see what he can go in there and put together a training camp and come in. And I don't like to see guys fighting it. Be a 31-year age difference during that fight. Just you guys know what I think of that stuff.
That said, it is on Netflix, which is a new development, right? Them getting into live sports. Obviously, you have a TV deal coming up soon. I
think that Netflix should have gotten into live sports years ago. I think they're late to the game, but they are a force. They're a force, man. And when you look at the amount of homes that they're in worldwide, you guys heard me talk about this show Reacher. I posted about it. I love that show. I hate fucking TV. I don't watch any TV shows hardly ever. Don't watch movies anymore. But I love the show Reacher, right? I can watch Reacher whenever I want to. I can watch it when I get home. I can watch it next week. Right? Live sports like this event tonight, you had to watch tonight. As all these massive streaming companies start to get bigger and bigger, they have to be involved in live sports.
Safe to say you'll be talking to them when your TV deal comes up?
I'm sure we'll be talking to everybody.
Last one from me. Conor McGregor says he still wants to fight in June, and he also mentioned he wanted to fight Nate Diaz in the Sphere on Mexican Independence Day. Do either of those two interest you?
I'm looking for Mexicans at the Sphere on Mexican Independence Day.
Nate?
Huh?
Nate Diaz.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that fight.
Right here.
Yeah.
I know you gave them bonuses, but what did you make of the performances of Curtis Blades and Jack Della, like two guys that seem to be down on the scorecards and picked up more comeback wins?
Yeah, I agree. Look great. Yeah, you nailed it. I don't know what else to say other than what you just said.
We had two interesting entrances with Michael Venom Page came out with like the cape and the Undertaker thing. He said that even the UFC kind of helped him out a bit, and then Michel Pereira got approval to do his dance routine when he walked out. So are we going to see more of this in the UFC? I know it's not something you've normally done in the past.
No.
So not a fan?
No.
Joanne Wood retired after the first fight. What do you make of her career in the UFC? I know she never got her title shot, but she seems to be one of these beloved figures.
Awesome human. Yeah, she's an awesome human, an incredible fighter, and I couldn't be more happy for her. I know that, I don't know how many years ago it was, but pretty recent, within the last 5 or something. She went through some hard times and some ups and downs that people go through. She seems like she's in a really good place. She seems like she's really happy in her personal life and obviously happy enough professionally to finally call it quits. So it could not happen to a better human being. Absolutely love her and wish her nothing but the best.
Last one for me. In Saudi Arabia, they've been holding a lot of these big boxing events, with the pyrotechnics and all the glitz and glamour. Not something you also do really with the UFC. So are we going to see a lot of that when you do eventually hold your fight card there?
So I think the difference is that, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just assuming, the boxing events that they're holding, they're events, and they run all the production and everything else, and they put some money into those things, man. They really do. But when we go there, we'll be running the production.
Did you see the boxing match last night? Did you talk to Eddie after it?
I did not. I mean, I saw it on social media. Yeah.
What did you make of that finish in the Francis fight?
What do you mean? What did I make?
Yeah,
what did I make of it?
When you saw it, it was. People are saying it's one of the more violent knockouts in boxing history.
Yeah, I mean, going into the Fury fight, if Fury trained for the fight and didn't show up and, look like he ate Tyson Fury, that's probably the way that fight would have ended too. I mean, listen, the crossover, you know how I feel about crossovers into boxing, and that's how they end, just like that.
Dana, right here to your left. Ioane Jędrzejczyk getting into the UFC Hall of Fame this summer. I saw you guys got to share a moment after the announcement. I guess, what did you guys say to each other, and I guess what does she mean to you in the company?
We both said thank you to each other. She's incredible. The first time I ever saw Ioane fight in the UFC, I literally went back and grabbed her and said, come out and watch the rest of the fight. We literally sat there all night and watched the rest of the card together. And from that night to tonight, we've become really close friends, and I have so much respect for her. And, you know, she not only since when she was here, but when she retired, I mean, she still does so much stuff with us and for us, and she'll be with us for the rest of her life.
Tonight's card had a 5-round co-main event. I know you guys have done this a few times. More recently, we're seeming to see it more for non-title fights. Is that something that going forward, like, could it be every card that this ends up happening eventually?
Well, you know, the problem is that, like, this card tonight, and even more so UFC 300, when you look at most of the fights on the card, you're like, damn, I wish this was 5 rounds. But, you know, you can't do it all the time, but we'll be sitting in the room and we'll think of these fights that is a co-main event, and we're like, well, let's just see if they both want 5 rounds. Or sometimes the fighters ask for 5 rounds. You know, they want to go 5 rounds. So it's sort of just kind of how we feel. But I think as fans, when we have great fights, like as you look through, we ran the first promo tonight for UFC 300. So from the first fight of the night all the way till the main event, I mean, every fight you wouldn't mind seeing 5 rounds of.
How difficult was it to tonight was the first time we saw like the bout order as well. So how difficult was that to figure out where everybody goes? Like I saw like, a lot of people talking about Bo Nickel being really high. So how challenging was that?
I'm not kidding you. We literally finalized it today or yesterday. Last night we finalized it right after the weigh-ins. We started moving a couple more things around, and then last night we said, all right, this is it. This is the card, because we were announcing it tonight. So if we didn't announce it tonight, we'd probably still be playing with it next week. It is what it is now.
Here, Dana, over here. Just curious what your thought was of just the whole atmosphere tonight. Yeah, the crowd chanting USA, chanting Cheeto, all different flags from all countries. It was just, what were your thoughts just being here in that atmosphere?
It's incredible, brother. I mean, it really kicked off and started at the press conference. The press conference was insane, awesome. Then we roll right into the weigh-ins the next day, and then I knew tonight, you know, as long as some of these, you know, we got our holy shit moments with some of these fights, that it was going to be electric in that place, and it was awesome. Miami is on fire. I mean, I can't say it enough. This city's on fire. It's such a great destination when you talk about everything that makes a place a destination, and then it's become such a huge sports town and now a fight town. We came here. I came here with Anderson Silva, I don't know how many years ago, and we held a press event, and literally there was no press there. And we've put on a couple fights. The gates weren't great, but in the last 10 years, this place has just exploded.
And then finally, for me, you mentioned 14 million plus for the gate.
Yeah.
So is it fair to say that Miami will get another one? You'll come back twice a year rather than once a year? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I'd come back next weekend. It's that good. And, you know what's crazy is that, let me just put it to you this way. Probably the biggest venue you can do in the United States is Madison Square Garden, right? Miami is equal to Madison Square Garden now with numbers. Wrap your head around that and think about that 10 years ago. Would have never imagined it.
Your opinion on Robelis de Spain knockout? It's a Cuban giant, 2-meter height. He was debuting tonight here in Miami.
Sir, I have no idea what you just said to me.
Robelis de Spain, who
Spain.
yeah,
Yeah.
got a knockout tonight.
Okay.
And your opinion about his performance?
Yeah, and knockouts are great. When you go in and you perform at this level, with everything that we were just saying about this place here tonight, the energy, the fans, and you pull off an incredible knockout, it literally doesn't get any better than that. Thank you, sir.
Dana over here.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I know Chito lost, but you guys, before the pandemic, had gone to Chile, had gone to Argentina. Given his popularity, how much media there was here for him and fans, is there a chance that the UFC visits Ecuador at one point? Yeah,
I mean, take Chito out of the equation, we end up in Ecuador someday anyway. Obviously, when you have somebody who's that's popular from that part of the world, it's like we're talking about Africa and Spain right now. Seriously, we're heavily invested in Mexico now. Yes, we will end up there someday.
And just real quick, any update on Spain?
No, not yet.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Who is next? Go ahead.
Dana, continuing with that question, there were probably a record attendance from Ecuadorians. About 5,000 Ecuadorians were here, maybe a bit more.
You could feel it.
Yeah, and more than 40 Ecuadorian journalists came to see Cheeto. It would be good if UFC goes to Ecuador one day, but what would be your message to Ecuadorian fans that they were, extremely explosive, electric tonight, here and back home?
This is what I love about South America. I mean, it's almost like that soccer mentality. They support their own, and they're very vocal, and it helps create this unbelievable energy at sporting events when you have these people from other countries, and Ecuador definitely represented in every way, shape, and form, and it was fun. I mean, you hear USA or I don't know what they were saying, something O'Malley, and then you'd hear Cheeto, and it's the best, man. It creates that energy, that buzz at a fight that you love.
Thank you very much. We had a blast here.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
Dana?
Yep.
Hello, Dana.
Hi.
I just wondering, what do you think is coming now for Cheeto after this fight? Do you think maybe in the future is going to be the third part of this fight between Cheeto and Sean O'Malley? Could be?
It could be, yeah. He's going to have to get back on the horse and win a couple fights, and who knows? He could work his way back up to O'Malley again, because yes, it's 1-1. So that fight could possibly happen. I'm not even thinking about that or considering that right now, but not saying it couldn't be a possibility.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who was the other guy that said?
Yeah, Dana,
Go
last
ahead.
one.
Dana over here. So I know you guys have deals lined up with places, agreements for locations ahead of time, but I have to ask, I had a couple of people approach me after the conference and today after, like you said, an electric energy here in Miami. Is there a chance Miami becomes one of those stables where you go twice a year, or maybe?
That's what that other guy just asked me too.
Yeah, well, maybe for UFC 305, that's the specific thing they've been asking me.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, that's funny.
Was that a talk at least, or is that kind
No.
of just up in the air?
Never even thought it till you just said it.
Awesome. And obviously the Dustin Poirier Benoit Saint-Denis, it was a great fight from round 1 and 2 till it ended, but Benoit definitely showed that he belonged. Is that a guy that you guys are going to keep giving these big fights, or?
Yeah, no, he's one of the best in the world. Listen, Poirier, like what I said when we started this press conference, what I said about Poirier put on another legendary performance and took himself to another level, and Poirier is one of the best to do it. So it doesn't hurt his stock at all, not even a little bit. He's another one now that's got to jump back in the mix and win some fights. He'll learn from this. Thank you. Was there one more guy that was trying to ask me?
Yeah, last one for me. Bryce Mitchell got his camo shorts. Sean O'Malley got his pink shorts. Brendan Allen, upcoming UFC headliner, wants purple shorts to commemorate his daughter, as well as his school's colors. Can you get purple shorts next time out?
This is when we know we've gone too long with the press conference, when we start talking about clothing. Sure, he can have purple pants.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Good night.
What's up,
Dustin,
guys?
it's a career full of big wins for you, but man, I guess talk to us about where this ranks and just your feeling after this victory.
Before I answer the question, if Brennan gets purple shorts, I got to get floral. First things first. It feels good, to right the ship, take a chance, fight a guy outside of the top 10 when, I don't even know how many, but my last opponents have been former world champions, huge main events, huge fights, and now got this young guy in his 20s who finished his last 5 opponents representing France, got a lot of momentum behind him and a country behind him, and I'm like, you know what? Let's see if I still got it to fight these young guys, and it feels good, man. It feels good to win. It was a long training camp. It was stressful, had a lot on my back, and it feels good to win.
I know you said you were prepared for this to be a battle and knew it would be. It seemed like it was early on. I guess, how difficult were the opening round, and was it different than you expected it would be?
No, I thought he was going to want to grapple. I really did. I was surprised at his punching power. In the moment in there, I didn't feel like he was a big puncher. He looked like a big guy, and he's finished guys on the feet. I mean, he's finished all of his wins. But I thought he was going to be a bigger puncher. When he was landing those shots, they weren't that much knockdown power behind him. But I was surprised by his strength. He was pretty strong.
Yeah. It seemed like in the second round, maybe there was a moment you thought maybe I don't always have to jump the gilly.
Nope. I never thought that once.
No? Because it looked like it was there. You're like, maybe we should keep it on the feet. I'm having some success with my hands.
Yeah. Another thing, too, I thought he was going to be a little bit – he was physically strong, but I thought technically – I know he comes from a judo background. I thought his hips and his grip strength was going to be better against the fence. I took myself down every time. When I was on the mat, it was because I jumped guillotines. And you miss all the ones you don't jump, first of all. But I thought he was going to be a little bit tougher with the takedowns against the fence.
Yeah. Last thing for me, you're at a point in your career where you kind of call the shots. You've earned it, right? But, does a title shot, does that matter to you? Is that still the goal, and is that what you would like to see next for yourself, or is it too early to make a call like that?
That's the only reason I'm fighting. When I started fighting was to be the world champion, to be the best in the world, undisputed. But we got to see. I got to get home and see what makes sense with my coaches and my wife and my management and just see what's next. I don't know. But, yeah, that's I've done a lot in the sport. I'm not trying to, brag or be boastful, but I've done a lot in the sport, and I've been fighting for a long time. This was like at my 50th or around my, maybe more or right under 50th mixed martial arts fight. And I've done a lot, and I've checked a lot of boxes, but there's one that's still unchecked, and that's being the world champion.
Dustin, I don't know if you heard Dana when he was up here talking about you, but he was saying these are the sort of fights that make you a fucking legend, basically, and that fighting a young and hungry guy is what is important for you. Do you agree with that? Is that why you took this fight? Because you wanted to just be like, well, I know I can compete against these guys who've been around, but this guy might be the new generation. I want to see if I can compete against him. It
was kind of a timing thing in the situation of the lightweight division. There wasn't any big names to fight. I wanted to fight, especially coming off of a loss, and nothing was big that they could put together. But this guy's on a streak and has a lot of momentum. And when they offered it to me, that's why we did it. It just there was nothing else at the time. And then I honor what I do, man. And Eddie Alvarez gave me a shot when he was a former champion, and I was an up-and-comer. And you have to do it. That's the nature of what we do.
Yeah. Were any of the guillotines close?
The last one was. The high elbow was really close.
When you eventually do finish someone with that after jumping in, how excited are you going to be?
And I will. And I will.
Dustin, over here.
Yep.
Just curious, when you won the fight and then the whole place just erupted, has that ever been?
They probably bet because I was plus 200. That's why they were.
So I'm just curious, in your historic career, has it ever been like that where the crowd erupted like that and you heard it and you just soaked it all in as well?
Yeah, I really felt in the moment this whole week in the locker room, walking out in the octagon. I really felt good. I didn't so much, the adrenaline's pounding. He's getting up off the ground. I'm trying to go talk to him and let him know to keep working. And I didn't really notice it in the moment. So, yeah.
Right here. You had said, I think just a moment ago, that camp was stressful. There was a lot on your back and everything. Was that something specific in camp? Was it?
No, that was just losing my last fight. Never losing 2 in a row. Fighting this young up and comer who's finishing everybody. Just the risk versus the reward. It was just I had to win this one. For me, I felt like so that was more stressful because I was putting it on myself.
I know tonight was your night, but do you think Benoit will get back up there into title contention?
I mean, he has the ability. He's proven it with all of his wins. You know, this is his first time getting finished. His first loss in his career was to a welterweight. I think, you know, not on a full training camp, on short notice. So, and he's still young. If he dedicates himself and picks himself back up, and obviously he has the mental fortitude to do it. He's a military veteran, you know, so he's been through some things. If he decides to do it, I think he can. I felt it in there. He's very strong, and if he keeps evolving, getting better, he'll be right back where he was.
Forgive me if this is an ignorant question for your Louisiana, but like there is a lot of French connection in Louisiana. Was there any sort of like, how do the people there like kind of receive Benoit? Because obviously you said anything you post would just be filled with French flags, but how did the actual like? You know,
and I understand that they're supporting their guy. MMA just got legalized not that long ago in their country, and it's a growing sport. So I understand that, but no, there's a lot of French in Acadiana where I live in Lafayette. My dad speaks fluent French. You know, a lot of the Cajuns in Acadiana came from French Canada. You know, we got kicked out and relocated to Louisiana.
Well, Conor McGregor actually tweeted a good fight between a couple Frenchmen and even tagged the French, was it president or prime minister, whatever they have over there.
Yeah. Well, he felt that right hook too.
Just one quick one over here, Dustin. You spoke about in Media Day how you and Gamrot had great training camp, and obviously you were primary training partners with him. So how did it feel going 2 for 2 with him tonight?
It felt great, and we pushed each other so hard this training camp. After his fight with RDA, he came back and stayed in the locker room the whole time. He's such a great teammate, hard worker. His nickname is perfect. He's a gamer, bro. He pushes hard. He's a maniac. But he told me in the locker room, remember, champ, don't jump guillotine. Don't do it. Circle off the fence. Don't jump guillotine. He told me that multiple times.
What do you think would be next for someone like him? I mean, some people said that he shouldn't have probably taken this fight, or what do you think should be next for me after that fight?
For Gamrot? I mean, he beat a legend. He beat a former champion, a guy, I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. It's a great win on your record and a tough guy who's proven himself time and time again. And Gamrot has some great wins, He beat Arman, lost to Benil, but he's a hard worker, always in the gym, always getting better. I think he belongs at the top of the division fighting for a contender status.
Dustin over here. I know you just fought, but what does a path back to a title look like for you, you think?
Man, it's tough to say. I don't know. The lightweight division has been so murky and not a clear path to anything for anybody. And now it's even more so with Max coming up. Let's say he does beat Gaethje. Does he stay at 55? What's happening? I don't know. I don't know what's next for me. What opponent makes sense? Who's available? There's a lot of questions.
And
I don't know.
I know your focus is on the belt, but a lot of people talk about a potential trilogy with Justin Gaethje since you guys are 1-1, and a lot of people are still kind of waiting on that Nate Diaz fight because it was booked at one point. A lot of people were excited for that. Do you see any of those two fights happening before your career is said and done?
Man, I have no clue. Nate was a fight I always wanted. Gaethje hit me with the Hogan boot, so we might have to do it again. It's tough to say. I don't know.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Dustin right here to your right. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, they actually mentioned on the broadcast tonight that's somewhere that you're going to end up someday. And obviously tonight, another fight of the night, and I'll tie in another record. I mean, when you look ahead to that, what does that mean to you to hear that from a broadcast team, especially that has a Hall of Famer on it?
We've been talking about it this whole week with my coaches. For the weigh-ins, they announced a future Hall of Famer. Something else this week, they announced me as a future Hall of Famer. I mean, dude, that means a lot to me, That's something special. I'm so happy for Joanna to get in. She earned that for sure, and I'm just happy for her. She's a hard worker and done a lot in the sport, and especially for women's MMA. She deserves to be in there. If that's my destiny, I would love to be along those great names that are in the Hall of Fame. It's kind of surreal, honestly, because time flies by so quick. I just remember being a kid, praying, just give me one chance to fight in the UFC and show these guys what I'm made of, and now we're talking about that. It's just it's crazy.
At the same time, is it just a little bittersweet almost, where you're like, hey, I'm not done yet. I still got a few things to do?
Yeah, like I've said before, I have tread on the tires, and I think I can beat a lot of these guys. I can compete with the young guys. I can beat anybody in the world, I feel. We'll see. I don't know. I don't feel like it's – I'm 35. This is my 30th fight in the UFC, you know. So we'll see.
Thanks.
Hi, Dustin. Were the guillotines part of the plan or just you?
No, everyone told me not to jump the guillotine. Mike Brown told me 100 times this week. Gamrot told me a bunch of times in the locker room at weigh-ins. Don't, you know, it was part of my plan. Not the coaches. And I'll jump another one, I promise you. Thank you, guys.
What's up?
Sean, congratulations on the victory. I know you didn't necessarily get the finish you wanted, but it was a pretty incredible performance overall. So I'm sure you'll break it down afterwards. But as you sit there, how do you feel about the way you performed tonight?
Yeah, something about not getting the finish that just doesn't sit right with me. It's just like, fuck. But, I also haven't watched it, obviously. Once I watch it back, I think I'll be a little bit more excited. But, I always want to get that finish.
Yeah. Saw you, obviously, the boot on the foot, a little bit of a limp as you walked out. I guess, do you know what the status is of it right now and when the injury occurred?
No, I think, I've had a pretty major surgery on this foot before, so I think, it tends to flare up after you kick someone in the head a few times. So I don't think it's anything serious, hopefully not. But, yeah, I think it's just going to be a little swollen for a few weeks, and we'll be back to work.
Like you said, great performance. I mean, was there anything that surprised you? I know you knew how durable he was and all those things, but, I mean, was there anything at all that surprised you that happened in there?
No, not at all. I mean, I knew I was better than this guy for 3.5 years. I knew the first fight was a fluke, and I proved that. So it felt good.
At the end of the fight, you kind of sat down against the cage. I was curious if that was physical because of the foot, or if there was something emotional, or just exhaustion after 25 minutes. What was going on there?
Fuck! It hit me with a nice body shot. Tim told me don't sit. You don't need to. You're winning the fight. You don't need to sit there. But I wanted that finish so bad. I thought I could sit in the pocket and fucking trade. And he hit me with a nice body shot, and I just was like, all right, he whooped his ass. I'm gonna sit down and chillax for a little bit.
Fair enough. Last thing for me, I mean, you said it in the cage. You'd like to see Ilir Topuria. He's a scary guy. It'd be fun. But you said, hey, Merab, if that's the fight everybody wants, we'll do that one too. So how do you make that decision? How do you allow that choice to be made?
It's nice having options. It's hard to make a decision right after the fight. We'll see, how it plays out. Talk to the UFC, talk to Hunter, Dana, and, we'll see what happens.
Sean, obviously, you always took that first loss to Cheeto kind of like in good nature and always said you're undefeated and stuff. But was there something on your mind about, like, I want to prove to everyone that I am actually just way better than this guy?
A little bit. I mean, I literally, truly always knew I was better than him. It never bothered me once that fight played out like that. I mean, look where I was at, considering I played out like that, beat Thomas Almeida in one of the most, beautiful performances I ever had. So, that fight never bothered me. I try not to care what people think, and I knew I was better than him. And, it took a little, 3.5 years to go and prove that, and I did.
Obviously, you landed the 2 massive knees on him in the second, I think, and looked like you had him very badly hurt, but you also sort of knew that he's a very hard guy to put away. Did you see that I'm not necessarily going to be able to finish this guy right away?
Yeah, he's hard to catch. He's hard to hit clean. So I didn't want to waste energy trying to put his lights out if I wasn't going to be able to. So, I'm a vet. I'm a veteran. I've done this for a long time, and, you know when to use your energy and when to save it, and I didn't feel like I could put his lights out right then and there, so it saved the energy.
Are you kind of surprised he didn't just spam the calf kick over and over again?
Not really. I think it's like, leg kicks are dangerous, but they're also not just easy to fucking throw. You can't just throw them and just know you're going to land them every time. They're if you get checked, it hurts. If you throw it and step in with the right hand, you're off balance. So it's not as easy as just throwing a leg kick and you're going to land it.
Sean, right here. At Media Day, you said, we'll never be buds and this and that, but did you talk to Cheeto at all? I know I saw you guys bump fists, but was there anything else said between you guys?
No, nothing was said. Just a little handshake. I think he told Tim we'll never be friends or something like that. But it is what it is. I mean, I'd be jealous and hate me too.
What did you make of the crowd and the scenes? That press conference Dana White said is one of the loudest he's ever seen. They were chanting. They were dueling USA and Ecuador chants during your fight.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's so weird to be me right now. Like, just being able to stand there and listen to that and perform for the people. If it wasn't for the fans, if it wasn't for the media to cover this sport, I wouldn't be in this position. So it's a really, really cool, and I'm really grateful for you guys and the fans that watch.
One more thing to throw at you. This is one of the largest, if not the largest, non-McGregor gates for a UFC pay-per-view. So what do you make of another thing like that on your belt?
Yeah, I think I'm creeping up there. I'm getting up there. At the end of the day, UFC doesn't need anyone. They're gonna find stars. They're gonna make put on crazy fights regardless. But I think I'm working my way up to one of the biggest names in the sport.
One of your teammates, Kyler Phillips, he got a big win too. And we asked him would it be an issue? Would it be like Merab and Aljo, with you guys not fighting? He says, we'll fight. We'll make money. Mario Bautista he threw in there too. So do you have to have that conversation with your teammates, or is it just we'll have to fight someday?
I don't know. We'll go with the flow if it happens. I feel like I could move up to 45. I feel like I'm gonna get to a point to where I don't even need the belt. I'm bigger than the belt. I have the belt. I'm gonna fight. I'll be main event at fucking 140 at 142 and a half just for fucking fun. I can. I'm getting to that point. So the belt's cool, but once you get to a certain point, you can main event and just kind of fight. Look, Conor was 45-pound champ fighting at 170, fighting Nate. I want to get there.
And last one for me. We saw the video clip of kind of Merab walking up to you when you were leaving. Did you guys say anything?
I don't know. If I got hit in the head too. I was like, what the fuck? Who is this random guy talking to me? I was like, who the fuck? And then I realized it was Merab, and then it was his buddy was yelling or something. But yeah, I mean that fight very well could happen next.
Sean, over here. I know you said you probably won't be buds with Cheeto, but when you look at the fighter version of Cheeto, what do you think he should do next with his career?
Cheeto versus Henry could be an interesting fight. Cheeto versus Peter could be an interesting fight. Cheeto versus Aljo would have been an interesting fight. He's somewhat of a star, so he's got some good options too, but he'll probably need some good amount of time off as well. I think I broke his face.
Kind of like they just mentioned there with the energy in Miami this whole week. How did it feel not being, the 100% unanimous fan favorite going into this fight week? I know other than that Jan fight week, you were kind of a fan favorite everywhere you went.
I show up and perform wherever we're at. I could, fly to Spain and fight Elia. That doesn't bother me. It's cool, having the fans there for me specifically, but it's just cool being a part of it. So that didn't bother me.
Sean over here.
Hey, Sean, I just checked, so congrats for your first title defense, and I just checked all your social media, and everyone writes that you should fight next Merab, and what's your response, just?
Next fight, what?
So everyone says and everyone comments that you next should fight Merab. And what's your answer? Just
Maybe we'll see.
Over here, what about the Ilia Topuria fight calls your attention? Is it making history, that second belt? Is it something specifically about him, the undefeated? What is it about him that calls your attention?
Yeah, I mean, it's moving up to 45, that's champ versus champ, automatically is huge. Just knocked out Alexander Volkanovski, that's massive. You know, it's just an exciting fight. I'm here for massive fights, and that's what I want to be a part of. So if that's it, sweet. If Merab's it, sweet. You know, I like having options.
And you prefer Ilia over Merab?
Not necessarily. I mean, I guess if it looks, I mean, technically, I'm not defending a belt, so I don't know about pay-per-view. I would have to talk to the UFC. I don't think that would be an issue. I've always been able to work out something with the UFC. So, you know, if that's the case, that might be a bigger fight. But again, we'll talk and figure it out.
And how would you think a fight with Ilia would go?
I think a fight with anybody, I win by knockout. Obviously, I didn't knock Cheeto out, but, you know, don't lose confidence from that. Cheeto's, you know, so tough. But, yeah, I believe I could put Ilia's lights out.
Yeah. And lastly, I know you don't count it, but, you know, technically you guys are one-on-one. Do you see a trilogy happening in the future, or do you feel like you're done with Cheeto for the rest of your career?
Yeah, no, the Sugar State Athletic Commission, they said if I win this fight that they'll take that first fight away. So I'm officially undefeated again, and it feels really good. So we're just 1-0 right now.
Sean, right here. This may signal the end of things like it did earlier, but I'm going to ask about your shorts. You've been known to change your hair a fair bit. Are the pink shorts here to stay, or could you change those up too?
Yeah, I mean, I like this pink. I'm going to rock it. So if UFC is going to let me keep using the pink, I'm going to keep rocking it.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, Sean. Do you think your problems with Cheeto end that today? Also, do you remember the day that you guys talked in a pool in Las Vegas?
No, I don't. I've never really had a conversation with Cheeto other than, I mean, at the PI once, but yeah, I don't know.
What about the problems you guys have before it is ended today?
I mean, I've never not liked him. I just, you know, he doesn't like me. He's jealous. I get it. It's whatever, but he doesn't like me for some reason. I don't have a problem with
You will see one more fight with him in the future, maybe?
Probably not.
Okay, thank you.
I think I had a 50-44 at one point, so yeah, probably not. All right, I'm going to the club. Peace.